Joining us now is Ty Cobb, former Trump White House attorney. Ty, thank you so much for joining us. You had predicted a guilty verdict all along. How did you come to that conclusion?
Nice to be with you, Lindsay. So I came to that conclusion in large part just based on my experience as a federal prosecutor for many years and a criminal defense attorney. The way the indictment was drafted and the way the evidence came in supporting that indictment and the jury instructions, really all basically dictated a guilty verdict. I think the issues with this case have always been more legal than factual, and we'll have to wait and see how this is treated by the various appellate courts. There's certainly serious due process issues with regard to the application of the statute and notice and intent issues with regard particularly to the alleged crime that may have been covered up, whatever that crime may have been, between the election law cases, the tax cases, and the other record-keeping cases as they were explained to the jury. So I think this conviction was very predictable. I think it's likely to withstand appeal, but I think there are serious issues on appeal. But the conviction itself, I think the jurors did their work, took it seriously, and based on what they were told to do, they got it right.
You worked very closely with Trump. You have a good sense of his personality and demeanor. How will this verdict impact Trump's professional relationship, most likely going forward with attorney Todd Blanch? Do you think that he would keep him on the team going forward for potentially an appeal?
He better. Blanch is one of the better lawyers on the team. Certainly a much better lawyer than Alina Habba. But Trump's going to be angry. He's going to be angry at Blanch. He's going to be angry at basically anybody who was in the building at the time the verdict happened. He'll be denigrating the jurors soon, in addition to the judge. But that's all short-term stuff. I think the reality is we have to just go down the road a little bit. He's got other serious legal matters, but none of those, I don't believe any of those will go to trial in advance of the election. And I think this is probably the most consequential legal event that will happen in advance of the election. And I think we should all take a minute back, step back, whether people are dancing in the street with people like Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels while they're expounding on the rule of law for some reason, or whether people are up in arms about it. Whether you're happy for Trump or grateful that he was convicted, reality is as Americans, we have to think about the fact that we're now a country where one of our former presidents has gone to court and been found a convicted felon. And I think that should be sad for all of us, and certainly says a lot about the country that we are. And more importantly, he's the leading candidate for the next presidential election, which I think we all should reflect on. And what does that say about America? I think it's sad that we have a choice like that. I think it's sad that we've come to this in history, and I think we really need to reassess what are we going to demand from leaders. Are we going to let people like this be our leaders, or are we going to up our standards to where the founders, I think, believed that they should be?
I've been asking this question throughout the evening. Just curious to get your take as far as with July 11th, you have the sentencing, and then it sounds like then the appeal process would take place. But would the sentence likely begin before the appeal process?
Typically not. Typically in a white collar case involving a first offender who's almost 80, that defendant would almost certainly get bond pending appeal, and would be out pending appeal, even if he got an incarcerative sentence, which is by no means guaranteed, although it's more likely with regard to Trump, given his contempt for the legal system, than it would be for anybody else convicted under this statute. No, I think the simple answer is no. I don't expect that he would serve the sentence in advance of a final appeal, and I also don't believe he would be his ability to travel or any other restrictions of consequence will be imposed prior to the election.
If that's the case, I've been hearing from a number of people today saying, what does this mean then? You know, if jail time is not really, even though it's an option, but it's unlikely, if he were to potentially have to do home confinement or probation, but can still run for president, can still vote for himself, what does a guilty verdict really mean?
Well, I think it means that he's a convicted felon, and he committed the crimes at least as charged. Whether those crimes are sustained on appeal or not, 12 serious citizens, jury of his peers, New Yorkers found him, unanimously guilty of 34 crimes. I think it means that, and should impact people as they weigh their decision in November. Whether it will or not, we'll have to see. It's certainly not the case that the January 6th case involving the failure to allow the peaceful transfer of power, or the Mar-a-Lago case involving the use and abuse and retention of classified documents are. Each of those cases, would likely carry a 6 to 9 year sentence of imprisonment. In my view. So it's not those cases, and it's sad that we didn't get a resolution on those in advance of the election. But I think I think the fact that he is now a convicted felon, that should weigh on every voter and every American.
I am curious, since you were able to anticipate this guilty verdict ahead of time, and as you just mentioned, you don't think that you'll get resolution on those other 3 cases. What do you think will ever, at least before the election, do those go by the wayside? What do you anticipate happens with those other 3? Well,
I think only if Trump wins do the 2 federal cases go by the wayside. If Trump doesn't prevail, he will end up going to trial, certainly in D.C. on the failure to allow the lawful transfer of power case, and in Florida on the classified documents case. Although in Florida he won't go to trial with the current judge. She'll be removed for her palpable ineptitude and bias in advance of any such trial. But if he wins, both of those cases will be dismissed by his Justice Department, and they will go away forever. With regard to the Georgia case, he can't make that go away. But if he wins again, the likelihood is, although it's not guaranteed and there's no precedent for it, the likelihood is that that case would be delayed until after he served his term in office or was impeached.
Ty Cobb, so appreciate your analysis tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure. Nice to be with you.